A federal court has ruled Maryland's requirement to get a license before you can buy a pistol is unconstitutional.
Yeah, so tonight the big question is what's next for people who want to buy a handgun? Here's Scott Broom in Maryland with the answer.
This right here is a Maryland handgun qualifications license. You cannot buy a pistol in Maryland without getting one of these first. You have to pass a background check, get fingerprinted, take a 4-hour training course, and show up at a gun range to prove you can handle and fire a gun safely. It costs hundreds of dollars and at least 30 days to get the license in hand. And a federal appeals court just ruled that all of that is unconstitutional. The law's waiting period could well be the critical time in which the applicant expects to face danger, the U.S. Fourth Circuit Court wrote in its opinion. So what happens now? Well, the short answer is you will not be able to just go out and buy a handgun in Maryland this weekend. That's because the state has 14 days to appeal. If Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown decides to do that, the license law stays on the books while the courts take another crack at it, which could take months or more. Today, Brown's office issued a statement saying, "We are weighing options for next steps in this case," which prevents us from any further comment at this point. Gun rights attorney Mark Pennock of the organization called Maryland Shall Issue, which challenged the license, says he expects an appeal.
Why is it so difficult in the gun community to accept a qualification? Things like training and demonstrating in front of a real person like an instructor that you can safely deal with this.
Training that Maryland requires the handgun qualification license is guaranteed to create barriers to tens of thousands of people. And we know this because we have discovery evidence that shows that tens of thousands of people were discouraged from exercising their right to buy a handgun.
Will this make us safer?
Oh, absolutely, because it will allow people to acquire the means for effective self-defense in the home.
Pennock points out that older Maryland laws requiring a background check and a 7-day waiting period will remain in effect even if the license requirement is swept away in Maryland. So even after this court victory for gun rights advocates, there is still no circumstance in Maryland where a handgun buyer can just show up and take one home. In Maryland, Scott Broom, WUSA 9.